You can't talk about the history of the country music we love without mentioning bluegrass. That's right, bluegrass music. With its haunting melodies, great storytelling, and the most incredible musicianship you've ever heard, it's not only one of the most respected styles of music of the past, but it's also incredibly popular in today's hit songs. Without bluegrass, country music simply wouldn't be what it is today. And when you gather together some of the most respected pickers and singers in the bluegrass world and have them sit a spell and share stories and songs, well, that sounds like a slice of heaven to me. Hosted by bluegrass legend Ricky Skaggs and Opry star Bill Anderson, this amazing gathering is unlike anything you've ever seen before or ever will again. Because the bluegrass legends of yesterday gathering with some of the stars of today doesn't happen very often. Quite simply, this is a once-in-a-lifetime get-together of bluegrass greatness. We hope you enjoy it. Welcome to Simply Bluegrass.
Folks that are watching this on RFD TV know who this guy is because he's got his own show on there. Mr. Ronnie Reno.
Yeah, Ronnie! Are you clear?
I am now. Well, now Casey Jones was a mighty man. Now he's resting in the promised land. The kind of music he could understand was a 6/8 wheeler under his command. He made the freight train boogie all the time. He made the freight train boogie as he rolled down the line. He made the freight train boogie all the time. He made the freight train boogie as he rolled down the line. When that fireman started ringing the bell, everyone come around to tell Casey Jones was a coming to town on a 6/8 wheeler that was flat on the ground. He made the freight train boogie all the time. He made the freight train boogie as he rolled down the line. He made the freight train boogie all the time. He made the freight train boogie as he rolled down the line. All right, Ron. He made the freight train boogie all the time. He made the freight train boogie as he rolled down the line. He made the freight train boogie all the time. He made the freight train boogie as he rolled down the line.
Yeah!
Ronnie Reno. Are you still doing your show?
Yes, I am. Yes, we're going into our 5th season on primetime Saturday night on RFD TV and Family Dad. So
That's
yes,
great.
for sure.
Now, is it all bluegrass music? I know you have a lot of other acts.
It is. It's all acoustic bluegrass music, and of course, I even had Buck White on there playing the piano one time.
That won't hurt you a bit right there.
It didn't hurt. It didn't hurt at all.
Didn't hurt you none?
He's the only bluegrass piano player.
He is.
That's right.
The original.
The original. That's right.
Well, that's great, Ronnie. Wish you a lot of continued luck. We tune you in and watch you.
Well, thank you, Bill. I do have to tell everybody that Bill and I go back many, many years together. Actually, he used to get on the Reno and Smiley bus and travel up and down the roads with us many, many years ago.
I couldn't afford to go any other way. And your
bus
dad,
was
bless
going.
his heart, he was so nice to me. He was a wonderful man. He and Red Smiley and that whole bunch.
Well,
Treasured memories of
thank
those
you.
days.
Same here, Bill.
Thank you, Ronnie. What did you say about while he was singing, you said something about your dad?
Oh, my dad loved Don Reno's banjo playing. Loved it. And Ronnie's dad. And
Ronnie played that.
And, you know, Ron Stewart
You nailed it.
just killed it. I mean, it was so Don. But diddle-a-diddle-a-diddle-a-diddle-a-diddle-a-diddle, you know. My dad would say, now Harry's a-getting it right there, you know. He said he's a-getting fancy now, you know.
Ronnie, do you play banjo?
No, my younger brother does,
Yeah.
Don Wayne,
Yeah.
and he is a fine banjo
He
player.
plays a good.
Yeah, he can play all of Dad's licks and
Yeah.
plus a bunch of his own.
Yeah,
He's a
that's
fine
right.
player.
They were so good, Reno and
Oh,
Smiley. Carl
yeah.
Jackson, you have sung with everybody in this room today, I think.
I'm tired.
You getting triple scale for this?
I just want to say that I was just talking to Sharon earlier that, I don't know if it's the right time to say it, but what a blessing to be here with all you folks. I'm telling you, you guys are my friends and my heroes. And thank you for
Same.
letting me be here. And it's just been a great time.
Well, you're a friend and a hero to us as
That's
well.
right.
Not only a great musician, a great singer, a Grammy Award-winning record producer. The tribute album you did to the Logan Brothers.
Yeah.
One of the
Great
greatest
songwriter.
country
Yeah.
records I've ever heard.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. That was a joy to do, doing that record. And several of these people in this room participated, and I appreciate it very much. And I don't know. I look around here, and there's so much. This man right here has recorded 11 of my songs.
Wow.
Rhonda Vincent over there has recorded 9, I believe. Ricky's recorded 5. There's just almost everybody in here I've worked with in one way or another.
Does that include the one I just did?
That includes the one you just did, I believe. You mean out in the hallway?
Yeah. I do them anywhere I get a chance.
And I also, I want to thank everybody. But it'd take the rest of the show if I tried to thank everybody properly in here. But
Well, you can
there's
thank
one-
us
there-
by singing for us.
Well, I will, but I want to say just one thing. You know, Cordell thanked Ricky, and I certainly need to thank Ricky, but there's a man sitting right over there in the corner
Yeah.
that I owe a special thanks to, and that's Jesse McReynolds.
Yeah.
At 14 years old, he and Jim gave me a job, my first professional job out on the road playing banjo with them.
Well, you had
And,
the best looking haircut in Bluegrass back then.
Who, Jesse?
Yeah.
No, Jesse.
Oh, yeah. Had
Jesse,
had that wild root hair tonic.
Absolutely, they had
Had
it
a
going
part
on.
on the side.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I tell you a little story about Jim and Jesse there right quick? You know, all of us have traveled so many miles on those buses. We used to, we had to take turns riding shotgun, you know, and Jim and Jesse, they did all their own driving, you know, they really did. And so Jim would take a shift, Jesse would take a shift, whatever. So we left one time, headed down to Louisiana, I believe, and Jim had taken the first shift and driven several hours, and he'd gotten tired and pulled over and decided he'd take a rest. And Jesse took over, and he drove it on in, you know. And when we got to the place down there in Louisiana, it was just me and Jesse up. Everybody else was back in the bunks. We pulled in, and me and Jesse hopped off a bus. We went inside, and we ran into the promoter in there and started, you know, just talking back and forth. He told us what time we were on, that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, the guy said, he said, do you mind if we tape the show? And I don't know if any of you knew Jim, but Jim wasn't too fond of that. But anyway, Jesse said, oh, well, I guess it'll be all right. I guess it'll be all right. So Jesse went on, and me being the 14, 15-year-old that I was, I headed back to the bus, you know. And as I walked in, I heard a voice back there, and Jim said, Carl, what's going on in there? And I said, well, we just went inside to check things out. I think we're on about 2 o'clock, something like that. And he said, well, anything else? What'd the promoter say? And I said, well, he asked Jesse if he could tape the show. There was a lot of silence then, you know. And all of a sudden, he did. He said, yeah. He said, Carl, what'd he say? And I said, well, he told me it'd be okay. You reckon it would be okay? More silence. And all of a sudden, Carl, come here just a minute. So I went back through the curtains of the bus, and he's laying there. He had that first bunk on the bottom there, you know, and he's laying in there. He said, you see my boots under the bed right there? And I said, yeah, I see your boots. I do. He said, well, if you wouldn't mind, slip off your shoes and put on my boots and go in there and kick Jesse's. True story, I'm telling you.
Welcome to show business,
Welcome
Carl
to show
Jackson.
business. There you go.
That's good.
I'm gonna get a couple of fellas up here to help me now, Mr.
Here, Carl.
We're gonna do you a tune here that is a special tune. I co-wrote with my dear friend and mentor to me and chord both, Mr. Jim Rushing. Mm-hmm. This song is special to me in a lot of ways because it was recorded by a couple of folks in this room, and it did some special things for me. How it started is Ricky called me one day. He's producing a record on Dolly Parton. And he said, man, I want you to write a song for this record. I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. So me and Jim got together, and we come up with this particular tune. I don't know if Dolly didn't like it or Ricky didn't like it or what at the time for it, but anyway, we pitched it to this man here, too. He cut it, and it became the first IBMA Song of the Year. And then Ricky cut it with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band on the Circle 2 album. My first Song of the Year award and my first gold record.
Oh,
I appreciate it. Really do. Appreciate you both.
She didn't like it.
What's that? She didn't like
She didn't like it because it didn't have her name on it.
You didn't show it to her, did you?
Oh, I did. Yeah.
Let me say something really quick, very brief, about Jim and Jesse. In 1979, I broke away from the Country Gentlemen and put my own group together. And, it really doesn't matter what you've done prior. It's what are you going to do now? What have you got now? And needless to say, some of the promoters were not too overly fond of booking somebody that was not tested. But in a little while, we did a few shows, and Jim and Jesse were on. And one day I got a call from a promoter. He says, I'm really interested in booking you and your band. He said, I was talking to Jim McReynolds the other day, and he said that you had a really top-notch group and that it would be worth my while to call you. And then I got another call. I was talking to Jesse McReynolds the other day, and he said that you had a good group. And so I tried to thank those fellas for that, and they looked at me like I was from outer space, like they didn't know a thing about it. But I'm forever grateful to Jesse and his brother Jim. I really appreciate that. It really helped me.
That is so special.
Can I say something about Paul Brewster over there? You mind? He sung his big song, Kentucky Waltz, but I got to room with him for 11 years when I was with Ricky, and some of the best years of my life.
That's where he learned to laugh.
There it is.
But I have to say, at one point, I didn't know, still yet today, there's just a few folks that can really sing tenor the way it needs to be sang. And I'm not trying to rag on anybody, but there's just very, very few people. I mean, it's on one hand you can count them. But that man over there, he can sing. He is smooth as silk. And there's only been one time in 11 years that I ever seen him where he couldn't sing the high tenor parts. And I'm telling you, it's high when you sing with Ricky. It's really up there. But that man right there is a hoss of a singer.
Yes. Yeah, Paul.
Thank you, Dave. Dale took my place that day. He came in and had to sing in my place that day. I couldn't even talk that day.
I know it. I loved it.
Yeah.
It worked out good for you.
Bill, everybody's had a Monroe story today, and I've got one. I meant to tell you a while ago. Mac Wiseman touched on that Mole Lake, Wisconsin festival they used to have.
Yeah.
Well, if you didn't have a gun when you got there, they gave you one.
That's right.
But I was up there, and I went down in the basement, and that stage must have been 20 feet high. And they had a fence up in front of it. They had a gate. And on our side, on the entertainer side, it was if you wanted to go out into the crowd, enter at your own risk. That's a true story, and it was on a reservation. But anyway, I went down and Monroe was there, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And I said, "How you been doing, Mr. Bill?" I just got back from Israel. Said I got baptized in the River of Jordan. And I said, "Well, that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that." He said, I went over with Reverend Jimmy Snow, I believe it was. And I said, "Well, that's wonderful news, Bill." I said, "Well, how did you like it over there?" He said, "It's like a different country over there."
Who was it yesterday that was telling the story about about Mr. Monroe and the donuts?
Oh.
Tell that, Ricky.
Well, they were up in New York City doing a real early television, like a news show like a Today Show or ABC Morning News or some kind of thing. So they were there like at 5:30, rehearsing and all, getting ready. And Billy Joe Foster, this kid played fiddle with Bill. He's a kid from Oklahoma. He used to play in my band, and so he was telling me this, and he said, Mr. Bill went in there where some coffee was, and a little food and fruit and stuff like that was set up, and he come around there and he said, "Billy Joe," he said, "boy, you need to stay away from them donuts. Them's the toughest things, and they ain't a bit sweet." And he'd got a hold of a bagel. That's the toughest thing right there. Since we're telling Monroe stories, you got to tell us the one you told me yesterday about this guy that brought Bill a mandolin.
Well, Ronnie Reno told me this.
Blame it on Ronnie.
Blame.
He said before he knew it was about a true story, and knowing Bill as I shared and not only me but other people, I shared the last 15 years he lived in dressing room number 2 down there with him, and I saw some of the funniest stories and the things that happened that you can imagine it happened there. I didn't think that's funny at the time, but you didn't. No, you get off and get the thing, but I said, "Boy, that was fun." You just laugh your rear end off at it, So, but Ronnie told me this story here, and it's typical. It's typical of Bill Monroe. He thinks like this right here, but this old boy walked up to him with a mandolin, and he banged it right in front of Bill, and everything. And he said, "I'd like to know, tell me how my mandolin playing is, good, bad, or whatever." Bill said, "Let me have the mandolin." So Bill gets the mandolin, he goes all over and playing it, he reaches it back to him, he says, "Well, it ain't the mandolin."
That is so priceless right there, son.
I've got one more since we're telling. I was actually standing, when I was a little boy, Bill sort of took me under his wing and showed me mandolin and showed me a lot of stuff. And so every time Bill was around, I was with him, and so we were standing around up there at Berryville one day, and standing there talking to this elderly man, and Bill said, was talking to him and asked him how he was doing, and the guy said, well, I ain't doing all that well, Bill. And Bill said, he said, well, how old are you? He said, well, I'm 88. He said, right there's your problem.
Oh, that's your problem right there.
I want to tell you one more.
I knew it.
Down there in the dressing room, too, one night, it's Christmas time, and Jim and Jesse's fiddle player had went home for Christmas. Well, Vassar Clemens come down there and was going to fill in for the guy. Well, Vassar went over there and put his fiddle case right where Bill generally put his mandolin case. So Bill, they had some seats in the dressing room, chairs, and sat down. So Bill and a whole bunch of us was there. Kenny Baker was there, Bill asked me, he said, Bobby, who's that fiddle over there? I said, who? He said, that fiddler standing over there with his back this way. I said, it's Vassar Clemens. Is that right? I said, yeah, that's who that is, And he said, he's ruined every fiddle player in this town. He destroyed him. And I said, how'd he do that, Bill? Well, he just can't play Katie Hill no more, And he kept going on about that and just on and on and on. Wow. And Baker was, by this time, Baker pretty got irritated. He was walking right up, prancing right in front of Bill, kicking the carpet, and this and that, not saying a word. Bill right on that. Vassar left, by the way. He got out. He kept his back turned to Bill. He never did look at Monroe, but he walked outside. And Bill waited till he got out the door like that right there, and then he started talking about Vassar. He destroyed everybody that played the fiddle down there. Can't play Katie Hill and do them tunes anymore. Well, Kenny kept prancing back and forth, and Bill kept right on sitting. Kenny walked in front of me and he said, "Hey, you ain't hurt my fiddle playing on. Not a bit in the world." He stopped right in front of Bill and told him that. Bill said, he was just looking off like this right here, Kenny said, he looked at Bill again and he turned. Kenny walked out the door. Bill sat right there and he waited till that door shut, He was sure Kenny was gone. He said, "I don't care what he said. Vassar Clemens ruined every fiddle player."
He wouldn't have it any other way.
What's the story? And y'all probably all the story about what Bill said about Vassar and turkey and a straw.
Oh, do you know that, Rick?
Yeah. Vassar was on playing. He was on with somebody out there playing, and Bill and them was backstage, getting ready to go on after that. And Vassar came off and came in the dressing room, and he said, Vassar, what was the name of that tune you was playing out there? He said, well, Bill has a turkey and a straw. He said, no. He said, there wasn't no turkey in 100 miles of that right there.
Bill, I got one more quick story. A friend of mine out in Oklahoma said, everybody had Monroe stories. He said, here's one that happened to us. Ricky, do you remember Gary Price?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he emailed me this story, and he said they were Bill and somebody was putting on a festival in Oklahoma, and he was there, and so Bill got there, and he said, I need to get a ride to Fort Worth. I think Bill Mack still had a radio program over there. It was about 4 hours. So Gary said, I volunteered, and he said a friend of mine that played the mandolin, he volunteered. And he said, man, we couldn't believe we was going to get to ride for 4 hours with Bill and 4 hours back. So he said, well, we'll take you. And he said, do you have a pillow? He said, yeah. So he went to his motor home, got him a pillow. Said, we got in the car, and he said the first thing Bill would do was beat that pillow up a little bit and lay his head down and went sound asleep. So on the way out to the drive, they got to talking about people that had played good roles with different people and had to play different things. And the mandolin picker, he mentioned me. I played banjo and played guitar with Crow and etc. Whatever, And Gary said, well, Joe Stewart. He said, Joe played everything in the world with Bill, everything, including the mandolin for a while. And he said, he's played everything. And he said, they heard a voice said, I never did like to hear Joe Stewart play the banjo. And that was it.
He woke up just long enough to say that.
Put his lay back down, slept all the way to Fort Worth and all the way back.
We need to get some more music. I guess everybody, sure, we all do, and I guess everybody that's watching this anywhere knows that Darrin Vincent and Rhonda Vincent are brother and sister. Rhonda's a sister. I'm telling you right there.
Don't hold that against her now. Don't hold that against her.
Yeah.
If she can keep from doing a Martha White commercial on the way.
Are we doing the theme? The Martha White theme?
You can if you want to. But, we talk all the time about family harmony. Let's hear you and Darren do something together. And I think Jamie's going to join you too, aren't you?
Yeah, if they'll let me.
Well, I'm pretty sure they will. While they're getting set for this, I want to, if I might, make an announcement that I think we should all be very, very proud of. I just found out and got the word, and I'm going to spill the beans. I hope it's all right. Daly and Vincent have been invited to play at Carnegie Hall.
Oh,
next
wow.
June. Wow. Has there been, since Lester and Earl did that landmark show there and made the great record, has there been bluegrass music at Carnegie Hall?
I think so. I mean, you guys played it with the Opry, too.
Mm-hmm. The Opry did
Alan
some stuff
Jackson
there.
just played there, I think, a couple of weeks ago with his new bluegrass album.
Who did?
Alan Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
the bluegrass
the
album.
Down from the Mountain show was there. I went up to carry Miss Sharon's guitar case in. I was her roadie for the weekend. Right.
Well, congratulations, guys. That's great. If you get an extra ticket,
I played Carnegie Hall.
I played Carnegie Hall.
I did. but the one in West Virginia, though.
Yeah. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice.
Dale, you played Carnegie Hall?
Yeah. Sure.
I haven't.
I played at Carl's Pool Hall right across the road there.
I tell you, it ain't as good as the Ryman to play in, though. I'll tell you that.
No.
I mean, no disrespect to it, but the Ryman's got the stank. It's just a good old place. It's awesome.
If you get nervous, it'll be at the Ryman.
Yeah.
If I get nervous, it'll be there.
Yeah.
Sing us one.
All right.
Beneath still waters, there's a strong undertone. The surface won't tell you what the deep water knows. Darling, I'm saying I know something's wrong beneath still waters. Your love is gone. Even a fool could see that you'll soon be leaving me. But each
And every heart must share their turn for misery. That's a girl's chord.
this time it's me,
You did it well.
and I'll cry alone beneath still waters. Your love is gone.
That's great.
That's great. Of course, Bobby Osborne was grinning. You've sung that song 1 or 2 times.
I'm afraid so.
Who wrote that song? That's a pretty song.
Dallas
I believe
Frazier.
that, yeah, Dallas Frazier.
Oh, did he? Mm-hmm. Wow. He's written a lot of great ones.
First person I ever heard sing it was George. When I heard George Jones sing it,
Yep.
I thought to myself, I got to do that one right there. So it's got a lot of. We recorded it a couple of times, but the first time we recorded it, we talked Owen Bradley into letting us do put strings on it, and.
Was my favorite cut, man. That was great.
We had some of the Nashville Symphony on it, and Pig Robbins did those low notes with the piano. That was the ideal cut of it right there. You know.
It's awesome.
It's a good song.
Ricky, one more time, for anybody that might have missed it the first go around, introduce these guys in the band. We're going to let them pick one more instrumental. They've done such an incredible job here today.
Boys.
You guys really have. And Ricky kind of put them all together.
Stuart Duncan on the fiddle. Brian Sutton on the guitar. Barry Bales on the big old bass fiddle. Barry. Can you do a little George Shuffler slap there?
It's too late in the day.
That's okay. And Adam Steffi on the mandolin. Big sexy. Yeah. And Ron Stewart absolutely killing it over there. Yeah, Ron. On the banjo.
Y'all are going to do a Bill Monroe song, aren't you?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's
Wheelhouse?
Perfect. Yes. That's a powerful number right there.
Incredible, guys. Thanks again for being here and all your great work behind everybody. You're just absolutely terrific.
I've got my own Bill Monroe story from Dressing Room 2.
Oh, let's hear it, Stuart.
The Nashville Bluegrass Band was there to sing a gospel song, an a cappella gospel song. It was on the schedule. Porter Ragnar already had the song title. We weren't going to change it. And Bill Monroe was there, and he said, you going to play a fiddle tune for me now? I said, no, sir. We're going to sing an a cappella gospel song. And he went, you're scared to play the fiddle, aren't you?
you very well, did he?
Not too well.
He ain't scared of nothing. Well, I got one more Monroe story for you before we go here. We were there. It's in December, and so I'd always go. It's actually when we still had the country band, and so we always shared number 2 dressing room, Bluegrass room, and anyway, I said, Mr. Bill, I said, are y'all going to do Christmas Time's Coming tonight? I said, he said, no, sir, don't believe we're going to do that. I said, well, is it okay if we do that? He said, that'd be fine. That'd be fine. And so he said, you know who did that song right there? And I said, well, let's see. I said, Jimmy Martin did that song, didn't he? He said, psst. He said, Jimmy Martin don't even believe in Santa Claus.
I got one more. Now, this actually happened to me. I was working with Bobby and Sonny, and I was backstage at the Opry, and Bill and I got together and was picking. And so we was playing Rawhide, and I was playing a little tenor to Bill behind it. And we got done, and it really came out well, as everybody was tickled with it. And Bill said, he said, boy, I wished I could do that. And I said, well, it's really not that hard, Bill. He said, well, Dad, believe it must be hard. I can't do it.
Bill's got one.
Come on, you go first. Well, okay. Go ahead. The second Bluegrass Festival that was ever held was in Fincastle, Virginia.
Yeah.
We didn't. We didn't make the first one was in 1965. We didn't make it, but we made the second one. Well, Carlton Haney, he had Bill sitting on the stage, big part of the afternoon, and everybody that come up there, they'd sing a song with Monroe. And somehow or another, I ended up there sitting there with him, I don't know how I did that, but I did. Anyway, I noticed there was two or three girls hanging around after Monroe that day, and
that's unusual.
No, it's natural for him. But anyway, I got to think. We sitting there, I had my manly, he had his. I said, Bill, I said, when you've got a couple of girlfriends hanging after you in a park like this, I said, how do you handle it? Well, you got to know the answers, boy.
Got to know the answers.
Wow. Hey, let me tell you this one thing. Was you done, Bob?
He's done, but I ain't started. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go on. That's all right.
Okay. Well, we was on the road, and we come off the road like on a Friday or Thursday or something like that, and Bill told me as we was coming in, he said, now I want to do that song, Wait a Little Longer, Please Jesus, which is a great gospel song, written by the Lubins, I think,
No, Hazel Hauser.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
The Lubins sang it, didn't he? Okay. Anyway, in those days, the only way you could get, well, he didn't tell me that he told me, he said, I want you to sing the verses. But he sung the verses on the record, and then he sung tenor on the chorus, But he probably read it off a piece of paper, And anyway, the only way you could get words to songs was go up at the National Life Building, and get they had 78 RPMs up there, and you could play them, but you couldn't take them out, And so I had to write it down, and I worked on it, and the verses, a lot of times the song, this line will lead into this line, and it's pretty easy. For some reason, that one didn't. But I thought I knew it, and we got on the Opry stage that Saturday night, and I got about the second verse, and I thought, wait a minute, I got doubting myself. So I knew I'd messed up then, and so I sung a little of this with that verse and a little of that verse with this verse. And then there's 3 verses all. So I had nothing to go. I didn't know what to sing on that line.
So you did a rewrite?
So I didn't get none of them right. I got the first one right. But I thought, boy, now what's he going to say to me when we come off stage, So when we came off, I stuck pretty close to him because I was ready to take it, whatever he had. We walked, and the curtain come down. It was at the end of the show, and I was standing there with him, and he said, I never heard it sung that way. I didn't know it either,
You need to hear this one, I guarantee you.
Go ahead, Cord.
Yeah.
You need to hear this. Yeah.
Well, he came to the Bell Cove Club all the time. Buck brought him out there. First time I remember that we all went to church over there, Holiday Heights, Well, sometime in the melee of all that going on, he came every single Wednesday without fail, and if he was not out on the road, Well, he always wore a hat. I never saw him without a hat. And sometime in there, I wrote this song with Jim Rushing called Kentucky King. So he was really, really chummy with me. Me and him was on really good terms. But he'd come in the cove there, and when you walked in, there was a little thing that stepped up into like a dining room. It had 2 steps, and it was pitch black back there. You couldn't see nothing. So I walked in, and I seen him sitting back there. He'd go back there, and Joy Ford would give him pie. You know how they'd make over him and stuff. And he's sitting back there, and him and Diane Christian eating, Nobody else is in there. So I walk in there to set this sound thing up. And I walk by to shake hands with young, come right over here, he said, and sit down with us. And when I sat down just like I did at the house, just like that right there, And buddy, when I did, I realized I'd sit on something. Oh. I jumped up as fast as I could. For the only time in my life that I ever seen him with this, he had a completely black hat. And it was sitting in this chair.
No.
And it flattened, it wasn't. It was one of them great big Stetsons, And I said, I said, oh, God, Bill, He said, he never spoke a word to me. He looked at me like he could run through me, When he got up to play, he put that hat on. Glenn Duncan said, boys, it looked just like a Huckleberry Hound.
Hey, Doyle.
Yeah.
Do you remember sitting on my fiddle?
I was hoping you wouldn't remember that. Yeah. We was going to cut that first Vanguard recording.
Yes, sir.
We had an old 4104 bus, and we was lucky to have headlights, so we didn't have
no
any
inside
interior
lights.
No, at all. We stopped to get something to eat up on the turnpike, Jersey Turnpike, and when Ricky was working with us, if he was breathing, he was fiddling. And he had his fiddle. It was a good sounding fiddle. And, I regretted that to this day.
Yeah, it
but
used to
anyway, we got off to eat, and Ricky sat down. I didn't know it, but he set his fiddle down in the seat or propped it up.
No.
We got back on the bus, and I couldn't see it. But I heard it.
How'd it
sound? It made noises I'd never heard a fiddle make. But anyway. But I know you had it worked on, but it never was the same. But I would have never done that intentionally.
I know.
I don't care how bad a fiddle player would play, not that you did, but I'd never sit on their fiddle. But that was a great fiddle. And
he did that to my guitar a few times when I was with him.
Yeah, but I had it by the neck.
Guys, these stories are great. We got a little more music we need to get on before we run out of time. Lee and Elaine, and they almost did what Larry Black did. I almost said Leroy. The Roys.
That's all right.
You talked to us a while ago about some of your growing up experiences with bluegrass and gospel music. Come up here and sing one for us. These guys are terrific from up in eastern Canada and Massachusetts.
Yes, the mecca of bluegrass.
Well, that southern Canada.
And southern Canada. I just want to say to start that, all of you in this room are idols to all of us. We love your music and the messages that you bring out to the road and to fans like us. We were in Massachusetts and Canada going to all these wonderful artist concerts. And I was really nervous this morning when I got up because I knew all of y'all were going to be in the room. But I read my devotional in Jesus Calling, and it said that
I was right where I belong today. So I just want to tell you all, thank you so much for accepting us and letting us do our brand.
So she said she wasn't going to be nervous.
I'm really nervous. Our brand of bluegrass. It comes from our heart and our soul. And you will never know how being in this room today has really touched our lives.
You know, this is, as she said, it really is. And I look out and I see artists that I've sang their songs growing up and people that I idolize. Doyle, Ricky, the Whites. I mean, Sam, Rhonda, Dale and Vincent. All these people are people that, Del, the Osmond brothers, Jim and Jesse. I mean, it's amazing to be in this room and it's amazing to be part of this family. And I do have to say that that man right there, and I know, Jamie, you echo this, the first time I heard Mr. Ricky Skaggs sing, I was hooked on music at that point. And you're the reason that I'm here today. You are. I mean, the good Lord is obviously, but music-wise, you changed my life for sure.
Well, bless your heart, son.
We're going to do an old Flat and Scrug gospel song. Is that all right?
Yes.
And I know y'all have probably sung this a million times. So let's make it a big old church session right here and let's sing along.
All right.
Song called He Took Your Place.
Upon the rugged cross of Calvary was there my blessed Savior cried, forgive them for they know not what they do. Oh, sinner friend, for thee he died. His hands are gently knocking on your door. Outside he's pleading to come in. His heart is breaking as he waits for you to wash you free from every sin. Someday he's coming back to claim his own. We'll fly to heaven's golden shore. A crown of life he gives on that glad day. With him we'll live forevermore. His hands are gently knocking on your door. Outside he's pleading to come in. His heart is breaking as he waits for you to wash you free from every sin. Those cruel thorns, they pierced my Savior's head. The blood was flowing down his face. In shame forsaken there he hung and died. Oh, sinner friend, he took your place. His hands are gently knocking on your door. Outside he's pleading to come in. His heart is breaking as he waits for you to wash you free from every sin. To wash you free from every sin.
Yeah.
It's terrific.
Great, you guys.
Jesse
That was so
McReynolds has been sitting back over there in the back corner. We've all been saying nice things about him because we all admire him and look up to him so much. Can you feel the love in this room, Jesse?
I'm happy sitting here beside Rhonda Vincent.
Man, you are such an icon in this kind of music. Of course, you and Jim for so many years, and then the way that you've carried it on and done such an incredible job with it. You still enjoy doing it?
Oh yes, I'm still trying. I'm looking forward to the next step. I
Come up and share some of your music with
I
us.
hope there's a few steps left yet in me. When, I guess I think I might be one of the oldest one here today, so if I fall, pick me up.
How old are you,
I'm older
Jess?
than you, Bobby. I am older than you.
Do what?
I'm older than you, ain't I?
I hope so.
How old are you, Jess? How old are you?
85.
85.
Wow.
Way to go, Jesse.
Well, I'm pushing a little bit. I'll be 85 in July. But if you're getting 6 months of it, you start taking advantage of it.
It's like
And I think other than Jimmy Dickens, I'm the oldest one on the Opry. Yeah. Unless you think of somebody else.
Well, you played a lot better than him.
Well, I have really enjoyed being here on this show. I sit back there and look at people here that I watched them grow up. I mean,
That's true.
and I was playing before they was even born, I guess. Some of them. And it's a real pleasure to be able to live long enough to be able to stand up here and play in front of you now.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's just great. I never was a good speaker. Jim done most of the talking when I was on the road. He wouldn't let me say very much. Carl Jackson can prove that.
Yeah. You write songs about it, though.
But we got along pretty good. 55 years we stayed together as a brother team. And I don't know if anybody else ever done that or not, but that long, brothers without really having a problem. But we never had too many. But we had people like Carl kept us entertained. We kept bringing young people in the band, and Carl was telling about his shoe deal a while ago. Jim pulled one on him. I'll have to tell this. We played this park over in North Carolina and did a show one night, and we had to go to Ohio after the park, the show. I'm trying to rush because I know with time running short. Don't want to keep y'all all night. But we got ready to leave, and Jim jumped. We all got in, loaded up everything, and Jim cranked the bus up, and we started out of the park. Went around these, down between the trailers where the people were parked, they had these bumps in the road. Every time we'd get to one of those bumps, Jim would naturally slow down, almost stop and go over. So we got up to about three or four bumps we went through, and got up there and got to the corner. We had to turn. And the turn was so quick, so crooked, Jim had to stop the bus and back up. And when he backed up, somebody knocked on the door. It was Carl. Carl, I think Carl, you won't mind me saying you had your girlfriend that time.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. They usually warm the bus up.
Oh, yeah. Well, we didn't warm it up that time. We didn't have to this time. Anyway, Jim, he knocked on the door, and Jim opened the door, and Carl come and said, "Are we really going?"
Every time I get to one of them speed bumps, I'd almost catch the bus. And here it goes, diesel smoke.
But I remember the next night, we was up in Ohio, when the bus cranked up, he was first and hit the door.
I bet he was.
I never missed a bus again.
But yeah, we had a lot of fun, travel around the road, and I could write a pretty good book. Maybe I will one day.
I hope so.
Bill, can I say something?
Got some things.
I just want to say, it goes without saying, the music that you and your brother made is, well, it was just some of the most influential music in bluegrass music. And and what you said about having a band that was always top notch, you did. Mm-hmm. You always had the finest players with you all.
Yeah, we had.
It was 100% professional show. But what I really want to say is I appreciate so much the way you've carried on and gone on. You've totally had a new career without your brother, and that would not be an easy thing to do. But your passion for the music is so obvious. Every time he's on the Opry stage, he gets a rousing hand of applause. I'm telling you, the people love him no matter what he does, and I love you, and I just want you to know that.
Hey, Jesse, I always appreciated the Christian that you are.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
That's meant a lot to me, and to see the kind of man you are and the decisions that you've made, all through your life, that you've lived a life of, that's been above board, and you've always done fair with your business and everything. You've just been a godly example to all of us that know you, and just appreciate you so much. You've been a real influence and someone to look up to. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Ricky. I was going to do a song here. Of course, I don't know how many of you knew it. A couple of months ago, I was fixing to go on the Grand Ole Opry, and I had this feeling my heart started running a little fast or something. So I had the medic come up and check me, and he said my heart wasn't running just right, and so I said, well, just keep me checked. So I walked out, fixing to walk out on stage at the Opry, and they started to introduce me, and he came up and checked me again, checked my blood pressure, and he said, how do you feel? I said, I feel that if I go on stage, I'm going to pass out. And I'm sorry to say that I feel that way right now. Because y'all have been so wonderful to me, and I've had such a great time here today. And I would like to try to go through the song I was going to do, but I don't feel like I'll be able to do it. So if y'all would want to gather around and do something,
you bet.
I'd appreciate it.
You bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take it.
It's just, doctor, I've been to 4 heart specialists, and they just tell me to take it easy and don't perform if I feel like it's happening. So I hate to mess up the show and do something like this.
Don't worry a thing about it. You're a pro, and we know that you're a pro.
That's right.
And we know that you would sing and entertain and play. If you felt like it, please don't push it. Just have a seat.
That's right.
Yeah,
Come take my seat if you want to. You won't have to walk very far.
Well, thank you, Ben.
Just watch that guy next to you there. He's a troublemaker. Especially McReynolds. How about the Gibsons, the boys that have won the Entertainer of the Year, all the IBMA awards? How about something else from you guys?
Great way to close. Yes,
Kind of a tough spot to put you in, but please do.
Bill, Jim and Jesse are the ones responsible for us. My mother was on the Country's Family Kinfolk reunion, and we were talking about her being a double clutching mama, and that's because we bought our first bus from Jim and Jesse, and they're so kind. Doyle was saying how kind they are. We came to Nashville, and they showed my mother all about the bus and my family and what they had done to maintain it. We'd never had a bus before, and my mother had never driven a bus before. And I believe that you took her out. We were down on Music Valley Drive and put her in the bus and showed her how to shift the gears. And she drove, I think, a mile back, and then they turned her loose to drive the 500 miles to Missouri.
Yeah, she did. I had one more thing. About, I guess 6 months later, Darrin called me. They came from Nashville. He said, I need to get my bus checked. I said, what's wrong? He said, the brake's not holding good. There might be something wrong with the brakes. Of course, I've been driving it for 6 or 8 months, I guess. I said, well, you need to go over to the garage and get the brakes adjusted. I said, have you had the brakes adjusted? He said, no. Did he have to adjust them?
Hey, Bill. Also, we should say something about that mandolin playing.
Oh, yes,
He's-
sir.
He's
I
done,
wanted to
he's
say
done
something
things
about
on the mandolin that
Can
nobody
I say
else.
something about his mandolin playing?
Yeah. Yes.
He is truly the most original bluegrass style mandolin player ever. In other words, every one of us in this room that plays the mandolin, except for Jesse, has spent a whole lot of time copying Bill Monroe. I spent a lot of time copying Bobby and trying to copy Jesse. And I know how to kind of do it, but I can't. And Jesse is the most original bluegrass mandolin player there ever has been.
The minute he starts playing, you know who it is.
Right.
I'm going to step up here and be Dirk Bentley.
Good luck.
Lots of luck.
Just want to thank you, Ricky, for giving me that phone call that day. It came at a really good time, and can't tell you how touched we are to be here in this room full of heroes and friends. And my heart's full, and God bless all of you.
Thank you, Eric.
We went up on the mountain to hear the old man play, and everything about him was steeped in the old-time way. And the sound he made was stirring, it was magic, it was fun. When asked what it was called back when, he smiled and he said, son, they called it music. In the church house, in the fields, it was honest, it was simple, and it helped the hard times heal. It was music, sang it deep down in the mines, in dark and lonesome prison cells, and behind battle lines. They called it music. Fathers fiddle tunes on Saturdays in town, stayed in our heads and hearts all week till it came back around. I swear the ghosts are with me, I can feel them when I play. It wasn't all about the money like it is today. They called it music in the church house, in the fields. It was honest, it was simple, and it helped the hard times heal. It was music, they sang it deep down in the mines, and dark and lonesome prison cells, behind battle lines. They called it music. Read a word to memorize a hymn. For way down in your soul, you know a seed was sown within. There's a power in those old songs I hope will never fade. So love them like your children and don't let them get away. They called it music in the church house, in the fields. It was honest, it was simple, and it helped the hard times heal. It was music, they sang it deep down in the mines, in dark and lonesome prison cells, behind battle lines. They called it music.
they call it music. There's been a lot of music in this room today, and everybody
Sure
here has
have.
been a marvelous part of it. I'm not a bluegrasser per se, but thank you for letting me pretend like I was today, because I love all of you, and I
we
love
love
the
you.
music you play, and may it last forever.
Amen.
Guys, can we get a little Country's Family Reunion theme song going back here? Simply Bluegrass. For everybody that's been here, thank you so much. For those of you that are watching, we hope you enjoyed it. Hope we do it again.
Yeah.